Good morning and welcome to another Saturday School from the Internet Business School. Today you have me, Roger, who I'm the Internet Business Coach who looks after all the office systems and integrations. You've got me all day today, well not all day, for the next hour or so. And welcome to if you're live, and welcome if you're watching us on our YouTube channel. Thanks very much. Don't forget, if you're there, do like and subscribe so that you can catch up with all the other videos that we have there from over the last year or so for our Saturday schools. There's a huge amount of content there to go through. Okay, so today we're going to start running through Google Drive. Okay, a few weeks ago, I did a Saturday school running through setting up basics of a Google account and securing it with two-factor authorization, so it's nice and safe. And we also ran through the use of Google Chrome and also Gmail. So we got through a huge amount. I think there's a couple of hours video there on YouTube if you want to catch up with that one. And today we're continuing on with the theme, showing you the usage of Google Drive. So and what it's all about, and why we can't do without it in the Internet Business School, and why you should be using it. Okay, so I say last week, these are all a lot of the main tools that you can have in Google. You get with your Google account for free. So last week we covered Google Chrome and Gmail. Okay, and today I'm hoping to go through the Google Drive, Sheets, Docs, look at slides as well, and forms. And then if we've got time, I might get onto a couple more bits and pieces. Okay, but it's going to be driven by you guys, what questions you have. Okay, I'm not going to be sort of showing you today, how to make a spreadsheet, because that's a whole other subject, and a lot of people will know the basics of that already. It's more about how you can use Drive to handle that information and control it. Okay, so Google Drive comes free with your Google account. Okay, so when you sign up for your Gmail, you get automatic access to your Google Drive. Okay, and it's based on the cloud. So all the information is stored on the cloud, so you can access it from any device anywhere in the world. And you're not restricted on the number of devices either. So the main competition to something like Google Drive would be, I suppose, Microsoft Outlook, the Office suite. Okay, who uses the Office suite, Microsoft Office, as opposed to Google Drive? Which do you prefer? Gerard, Rob? Yeah, Tracy uses both. Jerry does. Okay, yeah, I kind of use both as well. So we use Google Drive to share a lot of the information around the business between us in remote locations, but yeah, we also have the Microsoft Office suite as well. But it costs us sort of, it's about 60, 70 pounds a year, something like that, to get the Office suite, and we get about 90% of the content and functionality for free from the Google Drive. Okay, maybe it'd be interesting just to find out what everyone's sort of knowledge of Google is, of the Google Drive. Let's see what we're doing. Okay, so I'm just going to launch a quick poll. All right, just to find out online which people, how much you use Google Drive, if you do, if you don't, and also if you use it, what you primarily use it for. Okay, so I'm going to launch a poll now here for you, and it just sort of helps us judge the scope of the audience of what you use it for. So just need to know there, how much you use Google Drive. If you don't use it at all, if you don't have a Google account, Hopefully not too many people will say that after my last Saturday school. Yeah. No, just let that run. So yeah, Andrew uses both Office and Google Drive. Joe, hi Joe. He uses Office or Word, but there are unnecessary problems with it. Gerard's been with Microsoft Office since the year dot, mainly for Microsoft Access. I remember Microsoft Access back in the day. Stephen uses it to transfer files from his phone or tablet to his laptop. Yeah, that's good. That's good. How are we doing? Okay, we've got about, I need a few more answers, please, just on the poll, if you wouldn't mind. Just helps us get through. We're about halfway through, everybody. Don't be shy. I'm not gathering your data. It's all completely anonymous, I promise. Okay. Yeah, we've got a few more responses coming through. Okay. Ashley uses Gmail, that's good. Joseph says the problems with Word are when the so-called new versions appear and you have to learn everything all over again. Joseph, that is the way of the internet. There is always an update, there is always development, there's also always a release of the new UI. It's to get people to buy new products. It's like, I remember the days when you had to upgrade from certainly it happens on Windows, doesn't it? It's like Windows 7 to Windows Vista, and Windows jump to Windows 10, and let's upgrade the Office suite for Excel 2006, 2009, all those different versions. It's just to get you to buy a new one. Nowadays, everything is you kind of rent the Office suite and download it through onto your device from Outlook. But it also, they restrict you, I think it's to 5 devices that you can have it on. So the good thing about Google Drive is you can have it anywhere, you can access it anywhere because it's on the cloud as long as you've got an internet connection. Or sometimes you can set it up so that you can edit offline as well. Okay, so we've got a few people who've answered, a few people are just shy answering those questions or can't see the poll. So I'm just going to end that now and share where we are. Okay, so hopefully you can see that. So we've got one person who doesn't have a Google account. That's no problem. Go back and watch the last Saturday school that I did a few weeks ago. I'll run you through how to do it nice and safely. Interesting, yeah, 6 people who've got Gmail but have never used the Google Drive. Hey, great. So this is going to be really interesting for you. Well, hopefully it'll be interesting for everybody, but particularly interesting. And for the people who've only used it very occasionally, a couple of times a month, use it quite often, yeah, and I couldn't live without it. I'm definitely in the couldn't live without it category. Fantastic. Okay, so we've got a really good spread. Okay, so it's interesting to know where we are. Okay, thanks for that one. Okay, I'm going to drop through questions as we go along, and I'll try and keep the flow. So let's just go a couple more questions that just came in, and then I'll zip on to this next section. Okay. Ashley says, how do I remove Google Plus? I'm pretty sure Google Plus removed itself several years ago. They closed it all down. So you shouldn't be seeing any access to Google Plus images and links. It all disappeared several years ago. Billy, good morning. Jason, is morning. Jason uses Gmail and Drive, but also always keen to learn from a pro. I'll have to do then, Jason. Yeah, Nico uses Google and Microsoft. Yeah, that's fine. And Andrew says, on updates, I have a very old Chromebook, not used it for 2.5 years. Found it, put in power supply, 3 seconds it was up and running, and 5 minutes later, all that updates done. Yeah, it works pretty well. Okay, so anyway, back to Google Drive. You've got to go for it because it is free. And nowadays, okay, we know that we're in a really tight economy. Who knows what's around the corner? We know it's going to be tough. So using resources which are free is, well, it's a bit of a no-brainer. Okay, so as soon as you set up your Google account, you get access to the drive, and you get 15 gigabytes of storage free. Okay, which sounds quite a lot. And it is if you're just storing documents and files. As soon as you start storing photographs or videos, it starts eating up your space. And this is where Google gets the sort of monetization back from Google Drive to give you all these super resources. They want you to buy more storage. Okay? And so you might notice on your Android phone, or sometimes happens on the Apple phone, it asks on the camera whether you want to store your photos on the cloud so you don't use them. And you'll get an option either to store it to your Google Drive, or Outlook are very good, which is the Microsoft side. They're really good, saying, oh, put it on our cloud storage. And then suddenly you're taking photograph after photograph on your smartphone, and they're all being uploaded to the drive, and then you suddenly get the notification saying, oh, your drive's full, do you want to buy some more storage? So that's where they get you. So it's well worth being aware of that. You'll also, if you join up with Google Drive and are getting close to the storage limit, you'll start getting emails saying, oh, here's a free offer for you. You can get 100 gigabytes of storage for only £5 a month for the next year. And you think, great. So you take some more. That's much easier than cleaning out your drive. So you take some more photos. In a year's time, you've gone up and up and up, and suddenly the money you need to spend on the storage has gone up, and you're either having to go through your account and delete lots of files, or you're paying the money. So just think about it right from the beginning, how you're going to, if you haven't used Google Drive before, are you going to use it for your photos? I use it for some of my photos on my phone, but I only kind of like synchronize a certain folder, a favorites folder. So not everything is being uploaded. And then you can keep your good stuff. And the other thing is just to go through your photos and delete the rubbish ones. Okay, keep on top of it. Okay, so Google Drive, will show you in a moment all the things that you can do in there. It's for creating share spreadsheets and documents, and there's a whole load of other things that you can do. And the main thing to remember is your security. You're protected by your Google accounts login. So we showed you last week how to secure with two-factor authorization. Okay, so that you know that no one can get into your account unless they've got your thumbprint or your eye scan, or your phone, if they're in a different location. Okay, you've got to make it difficult for people. All right, so moving on. The great thing I find about Google and the Google Drive and the Google accounts is the access from all areas. Okay, so I'm accessing my Google Drive on this computer here. I've got another computer to the left of me, which has got all the same information access on it. I've got another computer upstairs I can access from. I've got my phone as well. So this is a screenshot of my phone, and I've got 4 different accounts logged into my my phone, my personal one, the office one, I've got my wife's one, and I've got my demonstration one we use for training. Okay, and I can swap between accounts. So I can access on my phone, I can access my personal Google Drive, I can access the business one, I can access this one as well. Generally what you do is in the top right hand corner, just under the 61% icon, there's your profile picture, and click on that and it will gives you this drop down to switch to a different account. So you can access multiple accounts very, very easily. Okay, so if I'm out and about and I need some urgent information for Simon or one of the coaches or indeed a customer, okay, I can access it on my phone as long as I've got a data connection. Okay, so really, really powerful. Okay, and I say on any device. And okay, so what we're going to do, that's the brief run through, but enough of me talking about it. What I want to do is jump out and start showing you stuff. Okay, so I'm going to jump out of this slideshow. Okay, just bear with me a moment. And I'm just going to make sure you can still see the screen. New share, desktop 2, just a moment. I'll just swap it over. Okay, just to confirm what you're seeing. It's a little bit unclear my end. Normally I have a green ring. Just pop in the chat where you can see. Can you see? Let's take a tour of Drive here. I'm just going to drop that down. Okay, so you should be able to be seeing my Google Drive. Okay, super. Thank you very much. Yeah, normally when I drop out of sharing, there's a green ring around the border of the screen that's being shared, but it's disappeared off this particular Zoom screen. Okay, so it's good to go. Okay, so remember last time I talked about the 9 buttons, or the 9 dots up here, and a bonus prize if anyone can remember what it's actually called. Was anyone paying attention to that useless bit of information that I dug up? If anyone get there, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, anyone in chat? Okay, so it's called the Google Waffle. Yeah, Mark, you got there. Oh, well done, Mark. Just got there in time. Thank you. Yeah, it's called the Google Waffle. Okay, and this is where I can click on so that I can access different areas of my Google account. So that's where all the account information is. That's to go to a Google search page, Google My Business, Google Maps. If I want to go to my YouTube, Google Play, drop to the Gmail, Google Meet, which I want to cover briefly if we've got time later, because that's going to be quite an important one for a lot of people. Following some changes on Zoom a couple of weeks ago, if anyone noticed that one. You can get your contacts, and that's the link for the drive. Okay, and it keeps on going. There are loads and loads and loads. Okay, so if I want to swap to my Google account from here, I can just zip on there. It's going to open up a new tab. And there was the account details that went through last time. If I wanted to open up my Gmail on this one account, bang, just open it up. All right, so that's your basic navigation. So once you're in Google Drive, I've uploaded created a few documents already just to sort of populate this option. Okay, so you normally up here you will start seeing the recent files that you've had, and then here will be all your files and folders. Okay, so at the moment I've just got 3 files in there. The blue icon is a Google Doc, which is kind of like the equivalent of a Word document. I've got a PDF in here, and I've got a Google Sheet, which is effectively an Excel sheet. Okay. And there's different file types you can have. I can have images. I could have an MP4 video in here. I could have slide decks, all sorts. Okay. To open and close an individual file is as simple as go to the file and click on it. Opens up in a new tab. Okay, this is just a bit of a sample doc I was going through to remind me of a few bits and pieces to say. Okay, Google, actually I'll come back to the actual what Google Docs does itself. Let's just do a bit more on the front page of Google on the Drive. Okay, so you just click to open a new tab. Make any changes you want. It's automatically saved to the cloud. So if I make changes on this view here, if I was logged into my drive on another computer, I would see those changes coming up immediately on the document I was viewing on my other computer. So it's instantaneous. Okay. The new button, let's start down this left-hand side. Okay, I can set up a new folder to organize my documents in. If you start getting a lot of documents, then folders are going to be really important. It's nice and easy. Just give yourself a title on the folder and it will appear here. Okay. If I want to move that to a folder, I can just drag and drop. And now that file is in my work folder. If you right click on a file, you can access extra information to show like where the file location is. You can also move it, so I can move it to a different folder. So if I wanted to move it out of that work folder back onto the main drive or my main file, then it's back out here. Okay, so that's the way you sort of navigate around with folders. You can make subfolders as well. So I can create a new folder in a folder. So you can add infinitum. Right. Recent, just sort of shows at the top all the recent files you've had. Starred, you can star a document just so it becomes an important one. So if you've got stuff that you want to access nice and easily without cluttering the list here, then star it and you can find it more easily. There we are. Just remember where to star it. It's not something I particularly use. I'm sure it is. Hold on, let's get rid of that one. Okay, yeah, so right click on the die, it's add to starred. And these are then my starred files. Okay, so it's there if you need to. Bin obviously is just any deleted files you've got. You just delete a file by clicking the bin. It sends it into the bin. I think after 30 days it will get removed permanently. Okay. So it's fairly straightforward and intuitive down in the this side. Now there is a bit here I skipped over, which is the computers bit. Okay. Now you can sync particular folders on your on your computer to your Google Drive. Okay, it's a bit pro, and there's not many people would need to do it. Okay, but I'm going to skip over that at the moment. All right, but just if you need to, zip to the learn more, and it's fairly straightforward. Okay, right. So now in my navigation, I've got that extra folder appear down this side. Okay, if I want to add new stuff, I've got this nice new button. Now you can upload an entire file, or you can upload an entire folder as well. A file upload is nice and simple. It's going to look at what's on your computer. Here's just an image. Okay, and down bottom right, it will just say it's uploading it. This is quite a low resolution tick, but it's now uploaded into my drive as a JPEG. Okay, I don't particularly want to keep that, so I'm just going to remove it. If I wanted to upload something else, which we'll be doing in a little bit later, I'm going to upload a copy of the slide deck that I made in PowerPoint, and I'm going to upload it into my drive, and it's going to convert it to Microsoft to Google Slides. Okay, and a bit later we'll show you what the differences are. Okay, so that's a brief run through on this side. Okay, I suppose we should go over to this side as well. Okay, where you can access support. We'll look at the settings in a moment, and this is where you can change the view of your drive folders. Okay, so I can change it to a list view, search by owners, which I'll explain as well, and when the document was last modified, and also the size of the document as well. Okay, if I wanted to change these around, you can do the drop down arrow and search for and organize it from by last opened by me or last modified by me. Okay, you can change the file size. You can change do it alphabetical as well. So it's a good way of searching around for particular documents. Okay, so that's the difference between the list view and the grid view. Once you get a few more documents in your drive, then being able to search through is going to be quite important. Otherwise, you have to try to mentally remember the names of that you've called the documents. Okay. Quick look at settings. So on the button here, yeah, you can see you've got the settings link. You've got Get Drive for Desktop, which means you can install a sort of like a bit like the sort of Zoom program goes directly onto your desktop. I've never really had to use this because, as far as I'm concerned, I just log into Drive through one of the browsers, the Google Chrome, and it's accessed through Chrome. Drive for Desktop would just be accessing exactly the same information through a separate program rather than through your browser. I'm not sure it has any particular useful application, but it's there if you need. And then there's some keyboard shortcuts as well. But settings, okay, this is kind of important for your storage side, okay, because it starts off with storage, and you can helpfully buy the storage first or view items that are taking up storage. Now, this is really important if you've got an older, more cluttered Google Drive that you haven't been managing. Because once you fill up your allotted drive space, your email stops working. You can't receive or send any more email. Okay, and I quite often on our email list, we have people who get reports back or non-delivery reports from people whose email accounts are full because they haven't taken the time to go and clean up their accounts and remove old emails and remove old files that are taking up space. Okay, so in Gmail, do make it kind of easy to go to the settings, view items taking up storage. You will see things by from size downwards. Now, bearing in mind, you can have videos which are sort of 1 gigabyte quite easily. Do you need that on a Google Drive? Clear off a few of those bigger items and you easily free up space. You know, you can move them off to a separate folder on your computer or put them onto a hard drive for future use. Okay, it's sometimes easier to do that than actually go and buy new storage. Okay, this is where you'd go to sort of filter through your images as well to get rid of those if you need to. Backups. You can run backups occasionally from the device and apps. Again, not something I've ever used because everything's on the cloud. So when with Google, so it shouldn't really disappear. If they did, there would be a bit of a calamity on the entirety of the internet. Okay, back to settings. Oh, sorry, back to settings. I don't want that bit. Let's just go back to that bit. Shortcuts. Yeah, they're going to be changing the way that shortcuts work in Google Drive. It's not going to make a huge amount of difference. Okay. You've got options to convert uploads to Google Docs editor format if you want to. You can change your language settings, which goes back to your main sort of Google account. There's the offline mode. So I said there's ways of setting up your account so that you can still edit Google Docs offline. So if you lose internet connection, you can still access some information, and it will resync with the drive. The changes you've made on your computer would then resync with the drive once you regain the data, the internet access. So I have that with my Internet Business School accounts, but you can only have one offline access. I believe it's on this computer. Okay, you can change the way that everything looks in the Google Drive and just make it a bit more, you know, change the font size effectively. Notifications, it's there if you want to control what you get notified about. We always have an email notification if someone changes or shares a document to me. I'll get an email through, and then we've got apps, which I'm going to come to a bit later. Okay, right, 1 or 2 questions just coming through. Ashley says, how do I use Google Drive on my Android smartphone? Okay, so just nice and simple. You've probably already got it on your phone, to be honest. You've got a Google Drive app, and you can also, so just go to the Play Store, search Google Drive, and if it's not already on your phone, download it, and it's just an icon that, you know, if you're linked into your Google account on your phone, it will open up your Drive. There's separate shortcut buttons directly for Sheets and for Google Docs. You can access all individually straight on your phone. It's really, really simple. And I'm surprised, normally a lot of the time it's there by default on the Android phones. on Apple. Can't remember whether it's there by default, but again, you just go to the Apple Store and they're free downloads. Okay, Tim says, do you lose your information if your account is inactive for any length of time? So yeah, I think I covered this a bit last week, but it is an important one. Let's just go to the Waffle and account. Where was it under? Just bear with. I think it might be under personal information, which I can't open up and show you just because it's got my personal information in, which I don't really want to share about in the wider world. But there is an option in here to dictate what happens to your account if you die or if it's inactive for a long period of time. I think it's something like 18 months. And you can put a recovery email address in, or you can have someone else notified if it's been flagged for potential deletion. And you can also set, I think it's almost like setting a will that someone can access your account if you are no more. Okay, so just have a quick look around. I'm pretty sure it's under the personal information section. Okay, but it is a quite a good one to set up because you never know. Okay, Trevor says, I find it a challenge, the limitations on Google Sheets compared to Excel. For example, on Google Sheets, there's not an option to data sort in a particular way. Okay, so this is quite an important distinction. So we know that Word and Excel, okay, have been around for since about the mid-80s, I think. The original software that everyone needed to have and was the sort of gold standard. People were paying sort of 300, 400, 500 quid for the Microsoft Office suites on the CD-ROMs. They were like gold dust to get hold of. And then they made you have the big long license number that you had to have the CD box from, if you remember those days. Okay, so they controlled that sort of the spread of their premium software. And there wasn't too many alternatives. I think there was kind of like things like Open Office sort of came along, and I can't remember the names of the other ones that were around and about, but they kind of got blown out the water eventually by Word. Then Google comes along and says, okay, well, we're going to still build a word processor, but we're going to make it available to all. So what they did is they used as many of the same sort of terms and formats that that Word would use, Microsoft Word would use, and I'm sure there was lots of litigation on various points. You can't call it that, you can't call it this, you have to call it something different. But essentially, they've ended up with probably sort of 95% of the functionality in Google Sheets, Google Docs compared to Microsoft Word. If you're doing pro stuff day in, day out, then yeah, by all means have Word. If you know what all the WYSI menus are, then yeah, you're going to be a Word person and not and be a bit sniffy about Google Docs. But for most people, Google Docs will do what you need it to do. And it's the same with Google Sheets as well. It will do 95% of what you need it to do. You can still do pivot tables, you can still run scripts on it if you're a super user. There are some differences that might bug a really pro user of Excel. But you're not necessarily, if you're that sort of person, then you've got both options. You're definitely keeping your Microsoft access to do all the difficult stuff, but the functionality in Google Drive just gives you different options in terms of particularly about storing and sharing that information with other people. Okay, Trevor, you said there's not an option to sort data. Yeah, there is an option to sort data on Google Sheets, which I'll show you in a while. Okay, let's just get a couple more questions going here. Zarina, hi Zarina, says, can you please show again how to move the documents from your computer to the drive? Okay, yep, so this is basically, okay, think about your Google Drive here is a cloud folder. Okay, so it's stored in a remote server somewhere else in the world that my computer can access, or my device can access whenever I need. Okay, so essentially, if I want to put something new on the drive, I'm just going to click the new button and upload a file from my physical computer I'm working on now. Okay, so I can upload a file or a folder. So anything that's on my physical computer right now can only be accessed here in this room from this keyboard. But if I upload it to the drive, the Google Drive, I can go to Cornwall and go on my phone and go to the top of a hill or go on a beach and access the information on my phone, as long as there's a data signal. Okay, does that kind of make sense for you? Okay, cool. All right. Billy asks, what's the difference between Google Drive and OneDrive? OneDrive, is that the Microsoft version? So that's the Outlook drive. So that's you can access when you've got an Outlook account. You can access documents and pictures on there as well, and you can access online versions of Word and Excel through that app, but generally you've got to pay for it. They don't give it for free. So you have that Microsoft One account, which is sort of 60 to 70 quid a year, I think, off the top of my head. Okay, and just asked, you need to sign in with OneDrive. Yeah, so you have a sign in for OneDrive. But hey, do you know what, Billy? We're talking about Google Drive. We're not talking about OneDrive today because I don't really use it, and I have to pay for it. And this is the stuff we're talking about here is free. Okay, so Ashley says, both Google Docs and Drive are installed on my smartphone. Is there a difference in use offline? For offline use, okay, you have to, if you go to this computer section of your drive, okay, you can sync in here to a particular drive on your computer, or go to the settings page, and where is it under? The offline bit, okay. Just click on the learn more, okay, and it will show you how to set up syncing with one of your devices. So you have to sort of, because you can access Google Drive in multiple devices, you'd have to think carefully about which one you wanted to sync. Okay. But generally you want to be online so that you can access all your information anywhere, and any changes you make are reflected automatically in the cloud. Okay, so basics again. If we want to start something new, we just go to the new button. We can do a new Google Docs, and you can either do a blank document or from a template. So most of the time I just do stuff out for a blank document. Let's just have a look at what From a Template does. Hooray. Okay, so the templates gallery. There's loads of stuff in here. So if I want to start a blank one, it's fine, but you can see all this. There's a letter setup, a resume, brochures. So more CV setups, letter formats, a pet. What is a pet resume? Ah, that is new. If anyone knows what a pet resume is, then, or anyone knows how to actually, would they ever actually use it? That's fantastic. If you want to do a recipe setup, project proposals, meeting notes, what else have we got? Brochures, newsletters. Well, there's loads of stuff here. Okay, a training proposal. Notice these are Panda docs, and these have got different owners as well. So that's people who've made the software and shared them with Google, but there'll be bits in there which say, hey, come and use our systems. What else have we got in here? Reports, lesson plans. Okay, so you can see I could quite happily, I don't know, start with a project proposal template. It's going to open it in my drive. Okay, and then I just go and overtype stuff and change it and personalize it. Okay, so it's more about the sort of format setup that you're taking on from these templates. Okay, so do you know what? I really don't want a project proposal like that one. So I'll just go back to my main drive, and you know, while I'm here, I'm just going to get rid of that one. If I go back to that Google Docs template, I'm sorry, because I'm now fixated by what a pet resume is. I just need to know. No one's come up with any ideas of what a pet resume is for. My pet personality, health and grooming, about the owner. I'm at an absolute loss what you'd ever want that for. But hey, it's just a template format, so you could go and change this to whatever you wanted to do. Okay, that is a pet resume. You heard it here first, but let's get rid of that one. Okay. Most of the time, I'm going to start with just a new, straightforward blank from template. Okay, so I've got a nice blank sheet. If you've used Word, and I can't think that there's anyone who hasn't used Word or some type of word processing software, they're all pretty much in a very similar format. Okay, so we're not here to go through, you know, how to create a spreadsheet or a document itself. Let's just talk about functionality. So we just add a title up here. Think about your titles for your documents, because there's what you write in here is also how you're going to search for documents in the future in your main drive. So it can be quite useful to have keywords, and it can be quite useful to have dates perhaps, or just set up your own sort of structure for file naming. If you get it right from the beginning, then it makes it easier further down the line. Okay, which I kind of found out in the Internet Business School when suddenly we kind of looked back and Google Drive was chock full of thousands and thousands of documents, and I have to try and memorize how to find stuff. I'm quite good at it, but there's occasionally you have a bit of a elapse and I have to go through and search everything. Incidentally, Simon's been using Google Drive himself for lots and lots and lots of years, and he's got files and folders, I think going back to 2010, 2000, even 2008. So we can access event information and documents and anything that was put in the Google Drive for the last almost 15 years. So it's a huge resource. Okay, it might take us a little bit of time to find stuff, but it's all there, all the historical information. Yeah, so essentially, normal sort of format. You can make copies of documents. Sharing, I'm going to show you in a moment, and publish to web. You can email a file to someone, download it as in different file formats. So you can download it as a Word document, open document, an RTF, download it as a PDF as well, a web page, an EPUB file. So there's lots of these good file types in there. Most people are just going to use a Word or a PDF. Okay, change the name, move it, I showed, delete it. Version history, I'll show you in a moment as well. Change the language, change the page setup, print it as well. Okay. The great thing about printing on the computer is you can also print files to PDFs, so that I could change a worksheet and print it as a PDF, or a spreadsheet and print it as a PDF and add it into an email. Lots of different functionality. Right, edits all pretty much the same. View mode, it does everything you need to do. Your inserts, do you know, I haven't used Word, Microsoft Word for a while now for all this sort of stuff, so I don't know what's got in, but there's specific buttons now for things like inserting drop-down menus into a document. So we can just, it's a pre-built data validation that you can pop into your anything you're writing. Let's just undo that, get rid of it. There's these building blocks as well. Review trackers, project assets, all sort of stuff there if you need it to be there. Product roadmap just does that. So they're sort of almost like sort of shortcut blocks. And realistically, like all these things, it's just either having a play around for the function that you need, or just doing a quick search the world of the internet to find out ways of doing stuff. And I'll show you how best to search that as well. So I don't think there's anything particularly different in here. You know, just have a play around in the sections. Formats, again, headers and footers, page numbers. It's kind of everything that you need to do a pretty good document. Okay. And you've got your spelling and grammar, word count, blah, blah, blah. Compare, you can do citations, voice typing as well. Voice typing, I did try that the other day. It's quite fun. I just press on that one. I just press on that one, and it should type out onto the screen. Thank you. So useful if your fingers need a break, and actually it's fairly accurate, which is quite good. So voice typing, everyone's suddenly getting really lazy now. I'm going for that. Okay, so that, let's get rid of that bit. Preferences. Okay, so this is quite a useful one to look at. Okay, so people probably know that when you do a bit of shorthand on your computer, okay, so if I do type in half, Docs or Word will convert it to half, or if I put TM in, it will convert it to an uppercase trademark. Okay, and I think there's a CO as well that goes in like that. Okay, but if you need to personalize your own Google Docs, you can do that, and you can create your own shortcuts. So you go to preferences, probably nothing here that you need to change, but then you go to substitutions. Okay, and this is where all the standard substitutions are set up. So if I want to do a copyright on my document, I would just do open brackets, C, close brackets, and it would change to that. Okay, so if there was, you can do set up arrows that are pre-set up. There's the TMs and COs. So the little sort of whizzy little shortcuts. But can you imagine if you were doing, writing Word documents and where you needed sort of like square meters all the time, then you can do that. So for instance, if I wanted to say my shortcut for a meter squared, or the square symbol was this. So when I type this bit, I'm going to do SQ brackets, and then we're going to replace it. Now I'm on a Mac, so you find these sort of emojis, in the emoji menu. So I do Control Command Spacebar to bring up the emoji menu. Okay, and then in the search bar, is it superscript? Okay, yeah, you just start typing superscript, and these are the numbers that are to the power of superscript 2. Okay, so I've now set up that. Now I did try this earlier, a few days ago, just to make sure I didn't look like a bit of a plonker doing this. And I remembered I had to go back and open up the substitutions again and make it as an automatic substitution. It bugged me. I'd set it all up. So if I wanted to write my documents, please work, please work, please work, 12 meter squared, to make the substitution work, I've now got to put a space there before I put my short code, and now I've got 12 square meters. Okay, that's pretty cool. All right, so you can personalize your sheets any way you want to. So depending on how you, I think on sort of Microsoft, isn't it? There's Windigs. You could have images of there, but on Mac, I access the emoji menu with Control, Command, and Spacebar. Okay, to bring up the emoji menu. Okay, which is opened on my other screen when I did that. Okay, which is no good. You can't see it. Okay, but hey, there's an extra bit of learning for you. If you need to set up accessibility tools for your documents and your typing or translations, it's in there. You need to translate it. Yeah. Okay. Add-ons. Okay. I'm happy to look at add-ons now. Okay. If you remember from a couple of weeks ago, we looked at the Chrome App Store, where you could add on extra functionality into Google Chrome. You can do the same thing in Google Drive, and add on extra stuff. So you go to the Google Workplace Marketplace. Because I've come from Docs, it says these are things that work with Docs. Now, I think there's a word of caution with these. So I'm looking again at what the functionality of a particular app is. Okay, so an app you can install into your Google Drive, and it creates a sort of a short-term, a shortcut or extra functionality for you. But some of them aren't great. Okay, so do look at the reviews, look at the number of downloads, look at the trust. Do you really need them? Now, they're quite useful if you've got a subscription to a particular service already and want to add a shortcut into your Google Drive, then great. But a lot of these will have a free option and then an upsell to a paid subscription. So when you're searching out what to go for, if you need any functionality, okay, start with the number of reviews. Okay, look at when the listing was last updated, so it's still fairly modern. Look at the overview of what they're doing. It is free pricing, this one. It says free pricing, but there is a premium option with it. If you're looking at what permissions you're going to give this app in your Drive, now then this particular app, for me, it has rather too many permissions. So it can edit, create, and delete all my Google Docs, and my slides and my sheets, display and run third-party content, allow this application to run when you're not present. There are a few little flags in there that I didn't particularly like, so I didn't install it. Look at reviews. Okay, sort by recent, because sometimes you click on these apps and their last review was in 2021, and it may be that they just haven't updated the app and it doesn't work anymore, whatever. So I basically say use it with caution. But some of them do actually work and give you extra functionality. But I tend to install it, try it, and if I don't immediately like it, get rid of it completely. Okay. So that's the extension side. All right, so that's effectively a Google Doc. You can play around with it, and make it as you are. But the great thing about Google Drive is I've now got this in my own Drive account, but I can share it with anyone else who has a Gmail account, or if they haven't got a Gmail account, I can send them a link to access the document. So at the moment, I am the owner, and if I want to share it with the Google Drive of the Internet Business School, gmail.com, I'm just going to put in that email address. I've got the choice of sharing this document so that the person receiving can edit and change it, or just make notes on it, or just physically view it. Okay, you can write a little message in here as well, and once I send this, it's then going to send an email to Internet Business School saying, hey, this file's been shared with you, and then I would be able to access exactly the same document in the Internet Business School account. Okay, what do you mean I'm sending it to a non-Google account? Have I spelt it wrong? Yes. Goodness gracious, you'd think I'd know by now. It's talking and typing at the same time. Business, hold on, internet business school. Gmail.com. Right. Can we just go back and edit that bit out of the video? That'd be critical. Okay, so now I've got that shared with the Internet Business School. And if I just go to, I'm just looking away on my other computer, and I've got a bit that says shared with me, where I see that test file. And do you see what's appeared up here? Okay, so you can see at the moment that I am, the Internet Business School is logged in, accessing this same sheet. Okay, so you can see that there. All right, and we could have a chat between this account and the other account if you wanted to. And this different cursor here, the one in red, that's what I've got on my other screen. Okay, I'm just going to go down there. Okay, so you can see what the other person is, where they are on the sheet. Okay, and I'm going to start writing, and you can see it changes automatically. Okay, it updates that quickly. Okay, so it's great for sort of collaboration in that sense. All right, so that's sharing it to someone else, and you can both work on the document at the same time, or they can just view the document. Okay, so really, really, really useful, especially in business terms. Just a bit of GDPR for data protection. If we are sharing, say, sales information with another person, so if we did a joint venture, we have a kind of legitimate interest to be able to share the data, the sales data, with someone else so that they could fulfill that sale, say. Okay, but I would only sort of share that sales sheet with another person that I trust, because if they had a data breach in their account, that shared information, that data breach would come back to cover the Internet Business School as well, because we're on shared data. Okay, on that particular sheet. So you have to be quite careful and trust the person you're sharing with. This is the version history. Let's just show that quickly. Okay, which is again quite useful. So I can see that here's my two different versions. I can see who made, in purple are the changes made on my other computer. So imagine that was a different name, different person. You could see what changes they'd done and what typing they'd done. And this is what I had on my current computer. I can roll back the clock, and well, this was the original version when I first opened it. There was nothing there. But some documents I can have a version history going back weeks and months, and I can scroll back through to a particular time. You know, if I made a mistake on a spreadsheet or something was deleted, I could go back and see the historical information before that deletion, and go, oh right, that should have been in there. Copy that information and put it back in the main sheet. So it's really quite useful from the cloud versions. If you can't do that, I don't believe in Microsoft Word, because you're just overwriting the documents. Correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, so really quite useful to go back and be able to see the history of a document. Okay. I think that's pretty much it with a basic Word document. Okay, it's very similar for an Excel file. This is a file that I had set up already. It's going to, that was from 16th of July, ages ago. Yeah, I don't want that one. Don't want data chips. It's pretty useless. Yeah, it's a very similar feel. Make a title, and you've got all your options and functions. Okay, I think it was, who was it? We were asking about filtering and data in Google Drive. Okay, it is under the data option, so you can create a filter view on a particular column, or you can you can actually search. Have they changed the search? I'm sure I can. Oh, it's a slicer. No, I don't want a slicer. Okay. I have no idea what a slicer is. That's something new. I'll come back and play. Sorry, I get distracted. Okay, it's very easy. There's new content coming all the time, and I go, oh, I wonder what this does. Can I use it? Okay. So let me just get back on track. I'm going to get rid of this sheet. Okay, sorry about that. Easily distracted. I'm off watching a cat video. Google Sheets. We've got starting a new one. Let's just have a quick look at the template for here. So I can do get a template for a to-do list, a budget, monthly budget, annual calendar. That's could be quite useful. A 2021 calendar. I'm not sure why you still want those, but they're still there. A travel planner, pros and cons, invoices, weekly timesheets, expense reports. So lots of ready-made templates that you could do. Event marketing timeline, projects timeline could be useful for some. Free setup of a you know, a spreadsheet or a document ready to go. I know you've got templates in Microsoft as well, in Word, but you've, just to show you've still got them here as well. Jason says slices are buttons you can add to tables and sheets, quick filters according to Google. Thank you for Googling what that does, Jason. I'll have a quick play later on. Okay. A Google Sheet again has pretty much the same functionality. There are some differences in terms of, if you're an Excel expert, in terms of some of the equations and what they're called. So for instance, in Excel, there's that wonderful equation function called concatenate, which sort of joins data from two columns together. In Google Sheets, that's just called join. So there are some sort of subtle changes between the two. If you don't know what I'm talking about in terms of functions, then that's the stuff that makes things happen on your spreadsheet. And there are some really quite scary ones in there. But yeah, if you're pro, you know what those are. My job is not to go through all of these, but it's just to know that they are there. Okay. Mostly what I would do is if I'm stuck on how to do something, is I will Google it. And someone else has done some sort of help sheet or walkthrough. Pretty much you can just sort of copy the formula and edit it and change it to suit your sheet. But the most important thing is when you're doing those Google searches is start your Google searches with Google Sheets, how to, whatever you want to do. Okay, so you get the search results from relating to Google Sheets. Okay. So again, you can share the documents with anyone else, which is, again, super useful. Okay, why am I in there? That's fine. So you can share it with anyone else. Great for sharing all that information. Let's just have a little look. So that's really sort of Google Sheets. I don't think there's anything there really we need to go through a little bit more. Let's just do a couple of questions before we move on to the other bits and pieces, because I'm conscious of time. Roger, right. Billy said my Microsoft Word subscription has expired and I was editing a Word document on my phone and saved in Docs, so I don't need Microsoft Office, I have Google Docs. No, I mean, essentially you can upload a Google Doc, upload a Microsoft Word file into Google Docs, it converts it, and you can edit away, not a problem. But it's a personal choice. Whether you want to work with, if you just need to work with some free, simple stuff, then Google Drive will cover 95% of your needs. If you're in business, you might well have both and have an Outlook account as well and access to the Microsoft Word programs as well, which, I have them on this computer as well. Ashley, is there any differences Google Docs, Drive and Google Sheets in use on smartphone? I don't think so. There might be a few technicalities in terms of typing. Excel is a bit of a pain to actually create anything on a smartphone because you're trying to do stuff on a small screen, but fine for viewing. Billy, Roger, could you show again to replace that superscript? Let's not do that, Billy. It'll be on the replay. Okay, but it was basically into the settings and it was in the keyboard shortcuts. Okay, and substitutions. Okay. Jason's, that was the slices bit, thank you. Billy says, is Google planning to include all tools in its Drive to make it a one-stop shop for the future? They're always adding new stuff. I mean, you've just seen that I've been logging into Excel to the sheets on here and it says new feature. There's always something new coming in. Okay, they're always pushing it forward to add new functionality. Okay, because they, Google want you to use their stuff. They want Microsoft to burn and wither, and vice versa. Ashley, which Google app would you advise for use on a smartphone creating a landing page in email marketing? You know what, I just wouldn't do a landing page on a smartphone. Might do it on a tablet, but essentially, you can access pretty much the same sort of informations on desktop. Most good, I could give you a term here, SaaS, software as a service. Have you heard of that? That's something that's like an instant on-demand program. So like ClickFunnels, you log into it on your browser and you have access to it straight away. That's a SaaS. And a lot of them will have their own integrated app that you can download and have a bit more functionality straight on your phone. But I just, I would generally do that on a computer if I was making a landing page. because you probably get more functions on a desktop than you would on a smartphone. Trevor said, can you show how to data sort while in Google Sheets? I did promise it, didn't I? Right, okay. It's always worked for me. So let's just put in some basic information. Just call it test. Okay. So name A, B, hold on. Oh, it's not catching up quick enough. B, C. Let's just drag those down. ABC, ABC, ABC. 1, 2, 3. Hold on, don't want that one. Just highlight those 3. Drag it down. Okay, drags it down. Right. Name, type. Okay. So a sort. I would highlight the whole thing up here, and up here you've got, go away, data sort sheet or sort range. Okay, I would tend to use the sort range and do advanced sorting options. Data has a header row, so that's going to pick up the name and the type. If I wanted to sort by the type line and do it from descending, bang. Okay, so it's basically highlight everything by clicking up into this quarter. Okay, and data sort range, advanced sorting options. Okay, I hope that answers your question on that one. Right, so those are the 2 main things that you'll be working with. Okay, so Drive, Docs and Sheets. You've also got access, as I said, to Google Slides, Google Forms, and oh my word, what else have we got? Google Drawings, Google My Maps, okay, all sort of pro stuff. Google Jamboard, which is this sort of interactive whiteboard, cloud-based whiteboard, okay, which is super duper whizzy stuff. Google Slides is the Google version of PowerPoint. A bit earlier, I uploaded my PowerPoint file onto here. So I'm just going to open it, and it's going to open it and convert it to the Google Slides. Okay. But you might find, here's my slideshow, but it says some PowerPoint features can't be displayed in Google Slides and be lost if you make changes. Okay, and essentially, remember I had that little slide where it's got a little bit of a video in the background, a bit of animation. It's removed that audio and video, and some text effects have gone. Okay, so it doesn't completely convert to exactly how you want it to. You might have to go back through and add in some new animations and backgrounds. Okay, but you see some of the formatting has changed and moved around. Okay, so you'd have to go through and correct everything and tidy everything up if you wanted to work in Slides compared to PowerPoint, but it still works. You know, you can still make your own presentation in Google Slides. That's fine. So, and share slides, and you can play the presentation from the drive as well. Not a problem. Okay, so that's the PowerPoint side, Google Slides, and then you've got Google Forms. Joe, again, Google Forms is kind of like a, if you haven't used it, it's a a way of sort of data gathering, doing quizzes or application forms, entry forms. I saw a fantastic bit of marketing last week, or actually when I say I saw, my wife saw it. And said, you've got to see this. There's a company that makes plant-based dog food, and they're just sort of launching in the UK, and they were doing a application, a contest for people to apply for the role of eating, living on their plant-based dog food for 5 days straight, and recording how they got on with it in terms of taste, etc., etc. And they were going to have medicals and this, that, and the other, and they were going to pay people £5,000 to eat their plant-based dog food, dry dog food, for 5 days. Now, my wife Nikki, she's pretty much vegan. And does a plant-based diet, and so she said, yeah, I'd do that, £5,000. Where do I sign? And they had this company had an application form that was done with Google Forms, and in that Forms button was like, oh, it's quite simple. It was you know, why do you want to do this? Your names, your contact details, this, that, and the other. And, oh, do you want to hear more from the company? Click this box. We'll keep you informed of the journey. You know, so they've basically used it as an opt-in to build their list, and it's going to cost them £5,000, and it got them in the national newspapers. Absolute genius. Everyone is a winner. Okay, so Google Forms can be really useful. Someone answered, Google Forms, do they have templates, Jason? Yes, they do. So what have we got here? We've got an RSVP, we've got a party invite, a t-shirt sign up, find a time. Okay, so there's a job application. Okay, assessment worksheet, course evaluation. So quite simple. Okay, let's just do a simple contact information. So the way that Google the forms work, okay, is it's going to create, we're going to create an application form or a test for people to answer, or something that needs responses. And in terms of data gathering, we build the form and make it look how we want it to. And then we create we get a link that we send to people. So it's going to be a short link saying, hey, fill out your application form at this link. People then click the link, bring up this form on their device, and all the responses come into you online, and you can set them so they go to an Excel spreadsheet as well. Okay, so it's kind of like a free. I remember I've talked about Jot forms in the past, which gives me this sort of setup, but with lots of more functionality and widgets. Okay, it's kind of like that, but a free version of it. Yeah. Jason says, yeah, you can create a form, then connect it to an opt-in or a link to a CRM spreadsheet. Yeah, so once your information is come in, okay, into Google Sheets and Google Drive, there's a lot of integrations you can put into other software to move things around. Okay, but you know, automations is a whole new different layer of Google Drive, a whole different conversation. But yeah, it gives, particularly in sort of high level businesses like ours, that sort of functionality is absolutely critical. Okay, so questions. Okay, this is asking for an email. You just sort of set it up so that it's required. You can change how the answer is, what's required, a date, a time. If this is an email, it's just going to be a short answer question. You can move questions around, dead easy. You can add in pictures, format the text, all sorts of stuff, change sections. You can change the way that the theme looks up here, put your own image in, change the background color, change the font, all sorts of stuff. Okay, so you can pretty quickly, you can bash out a form for someone to fill in. You can make it a quiz and have it marked as well. That's fine. And you can preview how the actual form looks from the other end, what the customer would see when they're filling it in. Okay, and that's all right. Okay, in responses, okay, this is where I could click a button here to make all the responses go to a spreadsheet in my drive and download them as well. Okay. Pre-filled link, add-ons. Okay, lots of things you can do, but it's just a simple thing. Just have a play around with it, use a template, and send a link out to people. Okay, Google Forms. So I was talking about a jot form, wasn't I? And that it does a similar job. So I'm going to show you how this works. If I just go across to my slide deck, I created a quick jot form survey. Okay, so I'm just going to put that link into the chat, and it will, if you can just sort of log that in, it hasn't asked for any other information apart from your name and a few sort of simple answers. Okay, but please be sensible what you write, because I'm going to show people what you write in a minute. Okay, so I've set up this jot form a bit like this Zapier, sorry, a bit like the Google Forms, to report the information into the drive here, okay, into the spreadsheet. Okay, so there's a submission that I did, okay, and other people's answers are going to come in right now. Okay. No, on other people's answers are going to come in right now. Yeah, cool. So you can see that this is a nice, simple data gathering form on that jot form. It's like a posher version of that Google Forms. Just drops straight into here. You know, if I wanted to get your email addresses, I could, or telephone numbers, addresses, all in here. Fantastic. Okay, so it's all in a spreadsheet ready for me to use in other areas. Okay, so many I've lost count. Yeah. All right, so I'm looking for the other information, really. What other things we'd like you to cover, because that's Jason, yeah, that was a jot form link that I did for you. So that's a pro account we have in jot form that we use in a lot of areas around and about in our work, but it's similar to Google Forms, the same sort of functionality. It just looks better, and it has a few more integrations, which is for me is really cool. In jot forms, I use a jot form as almost as a contact form in one of our businesses. So it asks people questions about what they'd like, and puts all their information into a spreadsheet for me. So I've got all my, and I can put capture on there as well to stop spam coming in as well. So it's really useful in that particular business, which is one of the storage businesses that Simon has, sort of putting people on a waiting list for self-storage. Fantastic. And you just put the code into your website. Oh yeah, I was going to show that one as well, because it's a bit of a sort of pro tip. If we go back to the one of these documents, or a spreadsheet, or you can, where is it? Tools. Hold on. No, sure it's here. Where is it? I'm looking for the publish to the web. Tables. Can you see publish to the web? Where's it gone? Oh, that's under the share button. Okay. Got it. Publish to the web. So I could have any sort of document or spreadsheet or form, and I can get some link code or even better, embed code. So if I wanted to put a particular form on a website or a document, I can set this as a live document. It goes in an iframe, okay, which means you can then copy and paste this into your web page, or I've done it into Kajabi as well. And it will show that document in your web page in that frame. So for instance, if it was availability of dates, or for a training, or how many spaces were left, I could just go into my drive, and it's automatically going to republish when any changes are made. Okay, so it means I could change the information in my Google Drive really quickly. So there's only 4 places left at this event, only 2, and it would update the website information, the view that people are going on the website. So instead of having to log into the back end of a website and edit a page and update a page, you can just do it straight from the document. So it's really useful for on some occasions to embed that file on a web. Okay, and then when you've finished with it and you don't want people to be able to see it, just sort of stop publishing, and then it will go off your web page. Okay, but really quite a useful thing for some people. Okay, right. So that's 11:40. So that's your run through on the most part of Drive. So we've done docs, sheets, slides, and forms. All this stuff is super pro stuff, or you can create a drawing, a Google drawing if you want, and put it into a Google Doc. This just shows you the most of the way around. Okay. Last thing to show you in here is about searching. Okay, I said, if you've got lots of documents in here, it can get a little bit tricky. So I can search automatically by documents, spreadsheets, forms, folders. Yeah, so you can narrow down your search. You can put in a keyword, and it will bring up not just what the title is. It can also look inside the documents as well, to see what was what's actually in them. So if in this drive points, I don't know, if I'm searching the word substitutions, please work, please work, please work. Okay, we'll search the word substitutions. Okay, yeah, it's brought up that it's inside this file. Okay, so if you were searching for a person or an email address, or something like that, you could see which other files they appear in. Okay, and when they appear. You can also do advanced searches as well. If I click on the advanced search, I can bring out many more options. So you can narrow down the file type there. So if I was looking for a particular PDF, with there. Now this is really useful. So you've got the ownership. So if this is owned by anybody, but if I wanted to know my files, okay, the ones that I've got in my drive, that's great. If I wanted to know which ones aren't owned by me, i.e. they're shared to me by someone else, I could look at that one, or I could look at a specific person as well. So I know I've only shared one file to the office. You can include a word or part of a file name, the location anywhere in your drive, date modified. Okay, shared to as well. So if you were using Drive a lot, and say you were sharing a lot of documents or spreadsheets with a particular other person, and then they left the business or you fell out with them, okay, I could then stick their email address in here and bring up every single file that was shared with them, and then go in and remove them from the sharing. Okay, so you're controlling your data. I don't know, testing it, we don't want that. Okay, it's not the owner, was it? I say shared to. So there should be one file that was shared. Okay, so I'm going to go in here, and I've fallen out with myself at the Internet Business School. So I'm clicking on that share button, and I'm now going to just click on that down arrow and remove access. Okay, and that person no longer has access to my data. Okay, so really useful. Cool. Right, that's pretty much it that I wanted to go through on the drive. Do we have any more questions to go through? Any more for any more? You don't have to have more questions. Okay, Jason, I need to go. Thank you for your support. May I call you on Monday? This is Jason. We work together as a joint venture with the Internet Business School, so he may help call me on Monday. Okay, no problem. Right, so just in case any more questions come through, all right, then not a problem. Billy says, does Google have a voice recorder? Okay, so does Google have a voice recorder? So I found a voice recorder on my phone, actually. It's a Samsung one that works quite well, which is a transcription service, which you find under the accessibility settings. But for voice recording, there's lots of different styles. I mean, if you're talking about an MP3 voice recorder, is that what you mean, or do you mean a transcriber, Billy? Because they're kind of different things. That's not a problem. Okay, But anyway, what I wanted to really quickly show you, okay, one other great benefit of Google, okay, that's going to become more important. Did anyone notice that Zoom made a bit of a change on May the 2nd or 3rd or 4th? It was over the holiday weekend. What they actually did, yeah, Zarina said, yeah. Okay, what they did is used to be able to have on a free account with Zoom, you could have an unlimited call time with one other person. Okay, so you could jump up and Zoom your mum with one other person and have no time restriction. But as soon as you went to 2 or 3 people on the call, you're limited to 40 minutes. And quietly at the beginning of May, Zoom said, oh no, we're getting a bit busy. So everyone's limited to 40 minutes, which, you know, there's a lot of coaches that might use Zoom for coaching calls or a customer call. And it's suddenly, oh, I've got to have a bit of a pro account and Zoom wants me to pay $10 a month or for this sort of service. Okay. But you do have an option in your Google account, which is the Google Meet. And Google Meet does have a paid version. So if you've got the G Suite, which is the sort of paid Google Office account with more storage and more functionality, you can do lots of whizzy stuff pretty much like Zoom. Okay, but on the free version, you can have a free meeting with someone and it gives you a 24-hour recording time, 24-hour meeting time for a single other person in Google Meet. So if you don't have 40 minutes, you've got 24 hours. Okay. You have to have a Google account to set up a meeting. The person on the other end doesn't have to have a Google account, but it's better if they do. And it operates pretty much like Zoom. The only thing that I've found is that the paid version has the recording ability. So in Zoom, if you've got a pro account, you can record, we're recording this meeting, so that we can download the video and put it on YouTube. But you might want to do that for a coaching call or something like that, and you don't have that for free in Google Meet. But what you can actually do is you can use your own screen recorder. So I'm on Mac. So you've got Control Command 5, isn't it, for a screenshot? I always do it without thinking. Hold on. Who does a screenshot? Oh, okay, yeah. Shift Command 5. Okay, you probably might not be able to see this, but it brings up an option on the screen to capture the screen, and you can actually screen capture a recording as well. You can't see the options, it's off screen at the moment, but I've got the options to record the entire screen or the selected portion of the screen, and that will record it to your desktop. Okay, so you could still record a meeting in Google Meet. You just set the screen around the Google Meet window. Job done. Okay. Nico, how many people are allowed to Google Meets with the free version? I just started looking at it last week quickly. Because obviously Zoom was fine for everything that we needed to do. Okay, what do we want? How many people are allowed to Google Meets with the free version? There's normally a an options issue, isn't there? Let's just go over here, learn more about Google Meet. Plan ahead. I know it's definitely sort of 2 people on the phone, and you can have more people. I think it's coming to mind that you're restricted to a few people. Look, I don't know, Nico, okay, because I only really started looking at it very quickly last week, but it must be somewhere fairly clear online. Google Meet, numbers of participants. Okay. Well, that was back in 2020, 49 people on a main screen. How to see everyone on Google Meet. Okay. Andrew says, he's been quicker than me, he says up to 100 people. Sarina says, in Google Meet free, anyone with a Google account create a video meeting, invite up to 100 participants and meet for up to 60 minutes per meeting for free. Okay, so thank you very much. The power of Google and the power of cooperative working. Okay, so yeah, I think Google Meet is going to suddenly become a lot more talked about because I've seen a lot of people who previously were using Zoom going, oh, what do I do now? You know, rather than spending £10 or whatever it is for the premium Zoom, I think they wanted to get the same levels of Pro. I think it was something like about $15 a month for Zoom. So yeah, I think a lot of people are going to go to Google Meet. So really useful. Okay, right. Any more for any more? Because Jason's still here. When you record with Mac, is it the audio? When you record with Mac, is the audio captured? Yeah, I believe so. Screen recording. I'll have a play. Not a problem. Same with any of these bits and pieces, is just having a look, clicking in links, having a play, seeing what you can do, and just knowing that every other person has asked the same question, asked the question you want to know before, and just doing that quick Google search. Okay, so starting with Google Sheets, Google Forms, Google Drive, how do I? Okay, and you'll soon narrow things down pretty quickly. I did find a useful site for let's not put that in. Okay, I think it's Able Bytes in their blog section has Able Bits it is. Okay, they have a lot of sort of simple help stuff for some of the bits and pieces that I've covered. Okay, and in the cloud function, you can over here, you can, you know, if I want to look at Excel formatting tips, just click on this or a pivot table, and here's all the help docs on a pivot table. Okay, so quite a useful little site I found, ablebits.com blog. Yeah, Jason, ask Google, not Roger, lol. I think you wanted to call me on Monday, didn't you, Jason? Yeah, I think I might be busy. Okay, so just a free tip on there. Okay, so I think that's probably enough for today because the sun is shining. It is lovely. Wherever you are in the world, thank you very much for joining us. I think I'm next on the not too long actually, 4th of June. Okay, so I've got some ideas of what I wanted to cover. Might be able to do some other bits and pieces or look at some of the SaaS software as well. Okay, but I'll have some more value for you later on. Ashley, yes, yeah, Otter AI, Ashley was asking if I knew about Otter.io. Yeah, that's a voice transcription software. It's really good as the free version. And there's a paid version which does really well as well. Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much, everybody, and thank you for watching. If you went through the Zoom, sorry, the YouTube video, much appreciated. Please like and subscribe, and I'll catch you all another time. Thanks very much, everybody.